G'day everyone, popping in for our usual chat. Can't wait to talk to you guys today. I'm just going to leave this for a few minutes to see how many we get online. Obviously I'm not on my usual day, which is Friday. I've just been too flat out with weddings and work and things like that, but I thought so I'll pop in today rather than not pop in at all this week, and I'll hopefully come back again this Friday for my normal time of getting on live with you guys. So I'm going to leave it for a little bit to make sure everyone comes in. And then we can basically start from there. So let's give it probably around about 3 or 4 minutes or so. The Essential Light said, getting ready to crack a stubby. I'm only having a Coke stubby with you today. Well, we're in spring now, so hopefully it starts warming up and then I can start cracking a stubby with you guys, because trust me, the second it starts warming up, I'm going to be again. So let's see who's popping on board. So let me come over to the chat. Now, we're just in pre-show, guys. If you want to skip this, you can, and just go to the thing a little bit later where it shows my Osler Images sign, and then you'll know where we're starting. So the Essential Light's here. He was here first. Who else have we got at this stage? Manuel's here as well. Ron's also saying hello. So pop in and say hi, guys. Chris is also here. Corona Day in California. Yeah, I can't wait for when it's my Corona days again, Chris. George is also saying hello. Cheers, everyone, anyway, even though it's only Coke. Who else is popping in? So say hi, guys, too. If you can, too, give me a thumbs up, too. It makes people realise that I'm online, because it's not a scheduled time. Bobby D, how's David going? Great, Bobby. What about you, mate? Ricardo's here as well, saying hi. DMXGL's here from Florida. Trevor's here. Hot coffee, it's starting to get chilly here. Rafael's saying hi from Denver. Essential Light saying, love these chats. I do too. Like I said, it's like a bunch of mates all having a chat together. Memories is also here from India. JB is also saying hello. Hello. Rafael says hello from Denver. Mario's here from Orlando. And we've got D. Brooks from Nashville. See, this is the great thing about this, guys. We have people from all around the world, you know. It's just awesome. I just love the way that we are so universal with these chats. It really is fantastic. I think it's Gauging Life says, hey-yo. I love it. Wait till I show you my shirt that one of my subscribers sent to me. You're going to love it. What else have we got? You can't see anything. Well, that's not good. It must be a problem down your end, Al, because I can see myself up there on the TV screen. Flying high or low. Hi from South Korea. Flyball Aerial Photography says, hi, everyone. Checking in from LA. So now we're getting stacks in. I'm only going to give it another minute or so and then we'll get started. Now you'll also see that Tox Visions has also said my name highlighted. Guys, that's a major thing. If you can, put that in, because that does make it so it gets my attention. I'm just going to turn this exposure down a little bit. This light that I'm using up here takes a while to warm up. So it gets brighter and brighter as it goes on. I think it's still a little bit hot. That's a bit better. It'll probably still have to be turned down. Toxskin's saying hi. Mario's also saying, where am I located? Melbourne, in Australia, Mario. Gauging Life said, let's get into it, baby. Woohoo! James said, Texas here. Mario's real. Mario's here from California. Tony's also here. Chris is also here. Why a Sony 24mm Sony is that important? Please respond. Well, we'll be talking about that shortly. Matt's also here from Oregon. All right, guys. So I think we've got enough starting here now. So I think we're going to get started. So let me bring up the Osler Images sign and we'll get started for the day. G'day everyone from down under. Nice spring day today, although the weather's not that warm. It's only 15 degrees Celsius, so it's pretty cool. I started my wedding season on Saturday. It was a great day, around about 20 odd degrees, so it was a beautiful day to be shooting weddings. I'm going to take you through a little shoot quickly, just in a few minutes, to show you how the Tamron went. And I'm going to discuss that with you, how that went. I should have put that in the list. I might change that title actually and put that in there, because I wanted to talk to you about how well that had gone. I haven't used it in a wedding until Saturday, so I thought we'd discuss that. I used it with the A9 and the A7 III, so I thought we'd go through that all together, as well as also going through some of the Panasonic discussion with a full frame, the Sony 24mm we'll discuss. I'm even going to talk about the iPhone camera, and we'll then discuss the latest news, and I'll say we'll have Q&A time as well. How's the audio? Is that peaking or is that all right? I think it's okay. So basically what I want to do first though is to show you this. If you can, please, I know I go on about this, but I want you guys so much to join this group. Can you please join the Photography and Videography School? If you search for Photography and Videography School on Facebook, you'll actually get the group. And it's amazing. I've set this up for you guys to share everything about what you do. And it's a really great site where people are posting videos, they're asking for critiques on their work. I'm giving weekly tasks, although I didn't do last week, I must update that. And it's a site where you can share all of your Instagram pages, your YouTube pages. You can see here that Mohad has put on videos where he's actually been posting and asking for critiques on that, things like that. Gerald and Oreo have been putting stacks of comments on. Chris here is putting on his most recent work for video. A7R3 filmed and edited by me, where you can watch it and we discuss things like that. So it's probably one of the only sites there out there that is giving you the ability to post your video and stills in the same site, but also post your Instagram feed, your YouTube channels, or obviously all your photography work, anything related to what I'm talking about as well. And it's a great place where we can communicate. So please join us on that site because I've set this up for you guys. So I really would love you to be joining us on there. So that's the only plug for that. And I'm going to keep plugging it because I really want to push this as a site where we can all communicate. And basically, it's an extension of what I've been putting on YouTube. So please join us there as well. So let me get rid of that for the moment. And I want to talk to you first about how the Tamron went. So wedding season for me started up on Saturday. Now I've got weddings now right until after Christmas, so I've got weddings every single weekend now, so it really is now hitting my peak time. I don't stop, I think, for the next 16 weeks, I think. I've got weddings every single weekend, so I am going to be quite busy in that department. And I thought, because it was my first wedding this weekend, I thought I'd try using the Tamron. And as you know, normally I do nearly always just shoot with the 35mm and the 85. And I thought I'd try doing it this last wedding with the Tamron to see how it went. And I was actually really happy how it went. It made it actually very, very easy for me because I had that range on the camera. Now, the reason why I hadn't shot with, say, the G Master or other lenses, because as you know, I don't like to carry around too much weight. Now, the Tamron is so light that I thought this basically might be perfect to work with, as that focal length tends to be what I'm always using, which is that sort of 35mm to 85. Now, you don't get the 85, but you get 75, which is really quite nice for doing this type of shot, and it was really good. So, oh, by the way, too, before I go any further, just make sure if you are asking questions for later, put down the @DavidOsa as you see here. Just make sure that I don't miss the question. If you don't do that and we're busy, I might have to, I might just miss it. So if you do want me to basically make sure I answer something, make sure that you put that on there. Now, let me go back to how the Tamron went. Oh, now before we start, I've got to say thank you to Delta Dave. Delta Dave sent me this t-shirt. Wait, are you ready? You're going to love it. I was wrapped. He sent me this t-shirt. Okay, here we go. How cool is this t-shirt? I love it. So thank you so much, Delta Dave. I'm going to wear this in a shoot because I absolutely love it. And it fits me, it fits my personality perfectly. And I really love the way that this is written. So this came from Delta Dave. And thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate it. He gave me 2 sizes. This was the one that fit me. The other one's quite large, but I love it. So thank you so much. So how cool is that? Let me know what you think. Now, it came from this place. What is it called? Custom Ink. I suppose it's a US. It must be a US site. I'm not sure whether Dave works for that company or what. I don't know. but it just appeared on my doorstep. It got sent to me from the US. So thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate it. I love it. All right, so let me go back to this business about the camera. So yeah, so talking about the Tamron 28-75, like I said, I do always shoot primes, and I wanted to basically try shooting with the one lens. Now, I had the two cameras with me. I still had my Batis on the other holder that I've got, the spider holder, so I could quickly change between the other, and sometimes I put the 35 1.4 on there, but I wanted to try and shoot mostly with that, so I did for the day, and I'll show you some of the results because I'm really happy with how they came out. Now, one of the great things with the actual camera is the close focusing on this camera is nuts. I actually, well, look, normally I'll take the 30 macro. That's what I usually take. It's an APS-C lens. I take the 30 macro, but I decided that I'd actually try using this just as the macro for the day on some shots, just to see how it actually went. And you can see here that this is a fairly close-up one of the perfume bottle, and then I actually tried to get one here of the flowers and the wedding ring actually inside. Now, these are all basically straight out of Lightroom, guys, so they're basically straight out of camera. The lens is really sharp, and I'm really happy with how it performs. But I tried it. I'm not going to take you through the whole shoot because the bride hasn't seen this yet, so I don't want to show much because this was just Saturday's wedding. But I also wanted to try it in multiple different scenarios. So I actually thought that I could use it also trying to do backlit. Now you can see here that the bridesmaid is walking in through this area. She's totally lit from behind. And I wanted to try how the focus went, and it was really good. If I zoom in, so I used face detect, and like I said, this has had no sharpening or anything done to this yet. It looks beautiful on my screen. I don't know how much it's going to come up on the screen up there, but you know, it really is just beautiful how it's worked. So that's her walking in. So I wanted to see how it performed with backlit type scenarios. The next one here too, this was backlit as well. You can see here too, oh, by the way, the color on this lens is nuts. I am so happy with how this performs on this lens. Is just beautiful. The color straight out of camera is gorgeous. Just let me press escape because I think it might be affecting my other screen. I don't know how to get rid of it. I'll quit Lightroom in a minute. It's gone full screen on my other monitor. So you can see here the colours out of camera are beautiful. This was also backlit. I stood the bride basically directly behind the sun, which was coming through these trees here, that gave her a little bit of backlighting through the area through there. And it really is sharp. You can see where the backlighting is hit through here. I'm really happy with how the lens actually performed. It's really sharp. No matter where I went through, that whole focal range is really sharp. It's lovely actually. The colours, like I said, are superb. It's got gorgeous. I actually quite like the rendering. Some people don't like that rendering, but I actually do like it. It's a personal sort of preference, what you'd actually like. This was just the bride and groom sort of moving sideways. So this was shot at 30mm, and I just had the bride and groom just pull apart a little bit. Here you can see the groom down, the bride just sort of sitting there, and I love them looking down at the flower, and I love it when brides will let you do things like this and sit down on the grass. It's just beautiful, and having a looking at the flowers. Again, just beautiful locations here that you can see, you know, this lovely background focus from behind worked really well. And it seems to be really sharp. Like the focus is super quick. Colours are really nice and vibrant. And I really do like how the rendering in the background, I think, looks quite pretty, you know, and I am actually quite happy with how the rendering actually looks here. And like I said, these are straight out of camera, these ones. Again, this one's just a wider angle one that was shot on the day. Colours again were nice. It was quite grey. It's just beautiful. Again, if you're looking here, the beer bottles, I just focused directly on the beer bottles. The cars here too, this sort of shows you the rendering that you're getting out of the background. which is nice. Someone just said the looks like the barn is in focus, not them. Let me go back. I think they are. I'll just check. This one's been processed, so don't look at the noise on this one. This one's actually been processed, Epic Skies. So this one has had processing done on this one. That's why they have that look. It's basically being given a rustic look. This one has been processed. This one hasn't been processed. Again, you can see here, well, let me check focus. I haven't even checked focus on these to see how sharp they are. Again, there's been no sharpening added onto these. They're raw, straight out of camera. Again, that's like I said, these are the flowers that you can see here on the car. You can see the rendering that I've got into the background. Again, this is just another one just to show how you can get the beautiful colours straight out of camera. It was very, very dull though, so I have had to really try and bring these up when I start editing these images. Again, there's a quick macro one or showing you how I can move in close. That was shot fairly high indoors. So, and again, this is also another macro one that I shot as well. Again, that I'll have to have a play around, just see how it actually looks. But, you know, when you can get a lens that has that full range, that you can go sort of from that nice and close, because the close focusing is so good in that respect, that you know, it's nice to be able to go sort of to that 75mm and then also move in really close and get close. Someone said he looks like Tony Soprano. He does actually. Yeah, you're right, from The Sopranos. But I'm really happy with how it actually looks. I think it's going to be really a great lens to take and have on my camera the whole time, and then obviously have my second camera and have something like the, you know, the 85 or the 35 lens on there as well. Let me just see if people are saying anything about that just before we move on, just so I can answer some questions before we shift on too much. Let me just come down here. Everyone's just saying hi early on. I'm going to go through the announcements in a minute. I'll go through that stuff with you shortly. Did you use a Tamron on the gimbal? No, I didn't, because this wedding was only photography. There was no video on this one. I think the next three, I think I'm only doing photography, and then I have a video one after that. So I didn't do any video on this one at all, but I might do some video next week to try it on the Tamron going around this same venue. I've got the same venue next week, which is funnily enough. G'day, Photo Mick is here as well. Epic Sky says, I want the 24 1.4, but would probably rather get the 105 104 Sigma if I had to choose. That pastel green, Profoto green. Yeah, no, it was beautiful. It was lovely out there. It really was quite lovely. You know, the rendering, like I have to say, the rendering colours out of the camera with this lens are really quite beautiful. The colour is really vivid and bright, and it's almost sort of like my Batis. It's very similar. It has that sort of that Batis Zeiss pop about it, which is really nice. What else have we got? Epic Sky said, I like it. Looks like the barn is in focus. Oh, I mentioned that, yeah. That was processing on that one, though. What else? Flyball said, what lighting were you using for the detail shots? I used the Profoto B10 for the day. I know a lot of you are saying that flash is way too expensive, but boy, Kerry, as you know, was not that happy when I bought it. But when I used it at this wedding, it was unbelievable, because the great part was that I could immediately turn it from flash to using the LCD and color balance it, and it actually was fantastic for the formal shots. The actual reception later on, I'm not going to show that. I don't want to show too much because the bride hasn't seen these yet. I will show it further down the track. But this is a really incredibly hard venue to shoot in. Let me just see if I can show you the venue, just how dark the actual venue is. Because I'd like to show you how dark it actually is in there. And the beauty of this was that I could just turn between flash and using that LCD in an instant, and it was amazing. I'm just trying to find the images so I can show you guys. I've nearly got them. Okay, let me show you through here. So this venue was incredibly challenging. Let me switch over. This venue was incredibly challenging. It's an old barn, and it really is quite beautiful, but the lighting is very dramatic, and really quite hard to balance too. As you can see, these are all shot, basically, this is the light that I'm dealing with. So when you're looking at these images are all straight out of camera at this stage. So you can see how dark that the light setting is in here. Now, if you're talking about working from hard sort of lighting, this is about as tough as it gets if you're dealing with shooting in this type of scenario. Now, I don't want to show any more because I don't want the bride to see this, just in case if she's looking. But having the ability to not have to worry about having gels and all this sort of stuff on my flash, I used the LED light for the whole night when I was doing this, and all I did was I balanced the color on the LED to match the lighting that was there perfectly and the brightness of the LED. So I didn't even use the flash, I used the LED part of that flash on that night. Now, to be able to do that without having any other gear on the day was amazing, and it really did make a massive difference. A very, very challenging place to shoot. You can see how dark we're talking about when you look at, you know, these sort of images, how dark we're actually talking about working in these scenarios. This too is where it is so fantastic having Sony cameras, because obviously they will focus still really good under these conditions. I even took it outside and lit up this. Now, I haven't edited this yet at all. Let me just see if I can open the shadows up a little bit on this. You can see here that this image itself, if I brighten this up, drop the highlights, Kerry was hiding behind this section behind here, and she's lit the bride up with the Profoto B10 using the LED light. But later on, as you can see, I just don't want to show any. No, I can't show any more because I don't want to, basically, I don't want to have the bride seeing the images. But that's what I used on the day anyway. So I just took the one flash. I obviously have my Sony flashes in my camera holder in case if I needed them, but I didn't use them. I used the Profoto B10 for the whole day, and I just switched between using it as a flash and the LED lights on it at the time. Anyway, so let's continue because I want to keep going on that. So the Tamron lens anyway worked wonderfully. Let me just see if there's any more questions about the Tamron before we move on with news and stuff today. What lighting did you use? I've just mentioned that. Hello, Photomix. You're being disrespectful. David is a master photography and Sony never miss focus. Oh, I love it. Flyball Era said you are right about David. Thanks. That's so funny. What camera did you use? I was using the A9 and the A7 III on all of those shots. The B10 is a monster, but very expensive. Yes, it is. Yep, and I agree. All right, so anyway, that's about all I wanted to show you with the Tamron. I just wanted to talk about that, and I might talk about that in a separate video with you guys. Once I've edited this wedding or a couple of weddings, then I might talk about how they're going with weddings. But I can tell you that it certainly is a fantastic lens if you're trying to deal with using the 24-7 or the 28 to 70mm thing at 2.8, because it's so light, it's so sharp, you've got the macro side to it. It's just a great lens, and it's changed my thinking a little bit. Now, I'd love Tamron to bring out say a 28, a 78 to 200, something like that mil. I'm just hoping now they bring one out like that, or even a wider one at 2.8. But anyway, that's all I wanted to show at that stage. So now let's go on to news for today, because I want to start going through this briefly. Now before we start the news though, I will bring this up as news, but I just wanted to talk to you about the latest rumors. It looks like that Sony aren't going to announce anything within the next few weeks anyway. It looks like the earliest that we might get something is now October. And I did talk about that in the previous video I posted, talking about that the only thing that they're going to release at the moment was their 24G Master, which I'll talk about shortly. It looks like we may have to wait at least until October sometime, or even a bit later now, to get something announced. Now, I was hoping, particularly with the Fuji X-T3, that Sony may have announced the A7000 immediately, but obviously it looks like that's not going to happen at this stage. And I'm going to talk about the Panasonic in a minute, and that may push Sony to announce an A7 III. But I think the problem is at the moment is that Sony just obviously aren't feeling threatened at all. And that's the problem. I think they're just not feeling like they have to bring anything out. So they haven't really been pushed at this stage, which is a little bit unfortunate. Remember, I did say to you before that I do believe that competition is great, but the competition has to be worthy, and I don't think at this stage, apart from the Fuji which has been announced, which definitely pushes Sony, should push Sony to bring out something like a new A7000, there's definitely been nothing that's sort of mentioned around the full frame side that really has pushed Fuji. I think the Canon and Nikon releases have not pushed Sony at all, and that's the problem at this stage. So let's hope that Panasonic do announce something amazing. Now that's meant to be, when is it? Tomorrow, isn't it? It's meant to be tomorrow, or 2 days, I think, because we're a day ahead of you guys. So we'll have to wait and see. So that's all I want to say about that. If you do want to hear me talk about the, I can't answer it in the questions when we go to the questions, but if you do want to talk about or have a discussion on that, check my previous video, because I did post one late yesterday that was talking exactly about that. But anyway, let's go on to the actual news itself. So I'm going to start here today, because this is really interesting. Now, before I do go, because I just wanted to talk to you about this as well, a couple of people have put on comments about when I've been posting things on live about talking about, you know, it's just rumors and you can just read it. I wouldn't like you to I don't like you posting those sort of things. Guys, what you've got to understand is I love this sort of stuff, and this is the sort of stuff I love to talk about. If I love to talk about rumors, I love to talk about new hardware, I love to talk about gear, and I also love to show shoots that I do, which I posted late last week as well. I posted, I think, 3 shoots last week as well. Now, if you don't want to basically have me talking about rumors and new gear and gossip and all that sort of stuff, this channel may not be for you, because I love this type of stuff. And I'm going to talk to you about what I love showing. And, you know, this is the sort of stuff that I read. I get up every morning and I'll immediately look up for rumors and all that sort of stuff, because I still believe I'm an artist, and I do believe that for photography, but I'm also the biggest geek on earth, and I love technology, and this is why, for me personally, I love talking about this. So this isn't clickbait, and I had one guy that said it's clickbait. It's not clickbait for me, it's actually what I love to talk about. And my comments to those people was, unsubscribe. Don't follow me and don't watch the video. It's that simple. But, you know, if you're following me, this is the type of stuff that you're going to get, because I love talking about it. I am a gearhead, but I'm also an artist as well. So that's one of the things I just wanted to, you know, sort of mention to you. So, you know, there's no way I'm going to change. It's basically what I love to talk about. I get enthusiastic. I love this type of stuff. I love to talk about gear. I'm that bad that when the iPhone came out, the first iPhone, I slept overnight, the 24 hours, to get that first iPhone. And every year I've got the iPhone on the release day. And I got the iPhone on release day this time as well. I was there at 6 o'clock in the morning queuing up for the iPhone. I'm the biggest geek. So it's not me pushing for clickbait. It's actually what I love to read. So, yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about this. This Panasonic is a really interesting announcement, really, because it looks like Sigma and Leica are teaming up with Panasonic to produce this full frame camera. So this looks like it's pretty well full on now at the moment. It also looks like Sigma, they're going to release an adapter that will take the EF Canon lenses. So you're going to have all of the Canon lenses that are going to be able to be used with this as well. Now, obviously, we don't know yet about how well this is going to work in autofocus, because that was one thing I found when I bought the GH5. It just didn't work very well with autofocus at all. So now whether they're going to be able to get around that and get really good autofocus is the thing that we're still going to have to wait and see. Or they may just target this at full-on videographers that like to go manual focusing. They're the type of people that love the GH5, and that may not be an issue to them. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go. The other thing too is we're not going to know how well, if they do release this Canon EF mount, which looks like they're going to, how well that's going to work on the mount. Will it work as well as, say, the Metabones or the Sigma adapters work on the Sony cameras, which do work really well now, particularly in photography, not so good in stills. But looking at this, the specs on this, they're saying it's going to be a 40 plus megapixel camera, which is nuts. And this is going to be a sensor designed by Panasonic. They're going to release two models, I believe. They're going to release a high-end model and a lower-end model. And if we look at the specs on this, they're saying it's going to have a dual slot IBIS. Sigma will make some top quality lenses and still not crazily expensive lenses. And Leica obviously will give that expensive touch with expensive lenses, etc. Now the specs on this camera are, the high-end one is going to be close to 50 megapixels. It's going to have an L mount, the Panasonic design and manufactured sensor, 4K 60p. It's going to have IBIS, 150 megapixel stills in pixel shift mode, so it's going to have pixel shift mode. Dual card slot, should be SD. And the price is going to be below the Sony A9, probably around $4,000. The entry-level one is going to be 20 plus megapixels, L mount, Panasonic design and manufactured sensor. It's still going to have the 4K 60p, IBIS and dual card slots as well. And the lenses at announcement are going to be the 24-70, 70-200 and the 50mm. Now it says down the bottom down here that Sigma will make L-mounted lenses, an EF to L-mounted autofocus adapter, and they are also developing an L-mount camera. So this is a really interesting development. I never would have picked right out of the gate that you would have had Leica and Sigma teaming up that way. And I'd love to know what you guys think about this in the chat. I mean, there's still questions, like I said, that have to be answered. Is how is the low light in this camera? If they're pushing 50 megapixels, how is that going to work with low light for video? Also, how is the autofocus going to be on this camera? So there's multiple things yet that we have to know how it's going to work, and I can't wait to see what's announced. So we should find out, I believe, in 2 days. So this is going to be a really interesting one to keep a check on. I'm going to show my shirt again, guys, too, because Delta Dave sent me this, just so you can see. How cool is this shirt? Oh, I love it. I can't wait to wear this out. Yeah, Delta Dave sent it to me. Thank you so much, Dave. One of my YouTube subscribers. So let me know in the chat what you think about that, because I'll come back to the chat a little bit later on. Next discussion is the Sony have obviously unveiled the 24mm 1.4 G Master. I did think it was a little bit funny how all these people were sent out there to do reviews of one lens. I thought, wow, they've certainly spent some money to review one lens. But the lens itself looks beautiful. I mean, if you like the 24mm focal length, it looks gorgeous. And I've been having a discussion on my Facebook page actually saying I don't think that I will get this because I very rarely shoot at 24. I mostly shoot at 35. But now that I've checked the weight on this camera, I think lens, it's only 400 and something grams, was it? I think it is. Where was the grams? I did read somewhere that I think it was 400, yeah, 0.45 grams. So it's only 400 grams. So this could be something that I may purchase down the track. I was speaking to Gerald about it, and I was saying I wouldn't purchase it because I had the Tamron. But this may be something now that I may purchase down the line to stick on a gimbal. So I may think about this. for later on down the line. I mean, it does have some beautiful options. Have I got the... Yeah, I mean, I adore this lens, and this is very similar because I adore the Sony 35 because it does have the declickable aperture ring. And that is the best thing ever for video because you can stick it obviously on auto and then you can change it through the camera. Now, if you click on the declick there, I don't know whether you can hear this, but... All right, now if I turn the declick off, there's nothing there. So I adore that part of it because if you're using it for video, remember I do a lot of video when I'm dealing with these, that it is fantastic because you can smoothly change your aperture as you move, say, between a church and the outside. Now, if you leave it, if it's clickable like any lens is, that could come through, but also you see stepping. So as you change the actual your aperture ring, it will actually step, and you'll see that in the video. It'll sort of jump between apertures. Whereas when you have smooth aperture like that, it will do it very smoothly. There's no jumping in between. So to have a declickable aperture ring is a really big deal if you're shooting video. So that has a couple of great things. You've obviously got your button there that you can do your like your eye autofocus or whatever you want it to go to. You've got your AF manual focus switch on the side. But it's the weight that actually interests me now. So yeah, I was saying to Gerald I wouldn't buy that, but I may now think about getting this in the future. There was only a couple of things that I did wonder about. Was that if you watch Max Urev's video on this, at the beginning, he was showing the Tamron, and the Tamron looked beautiful, and the colours looked really quite striking. And then when he switched over to the G Master, there was a real green colour cast. Now, I'm not convinced because I was talking to Gerald about this, and he said it might change with the lighting may have changed, but I don't think that was the case. I think it might just be the difference of the Tamron as against the G Master. As I've showed you when I showed you those examples before, that the Tamron has an incredible colour straight out of camera. So I'm not convinced about that as much. And also the perspective for portraits, I didn't like as much on his face. Like when you looked at the Tamron, his face looked really good. The second he turned to the 24, his face was distorted. But if you were using it a little bit further back and like it was on a gimbal and you're using it for landscapes or anything where you're not that close as a portrait lens, the 24 would be amazing. And it does look like a really beautiful lens. It seems to be, from the reviews, really sharp. The weight's really impressive at 450 grams. It just takes a nice filter diameter of 67 millimeter. It's got 13 elements in 10 groups. So it looks like overall a really nice lens. I mean, there's stacks, like I said, there's stacks of reviews out there if you wanted to check it out. You can see the A there if you want to use it as your normal lens would without the using your aperture ring on the lens. But overall, a really great lens. So let me know in the chat whether you are interested in, say, having a look at that or even purchasing this lens. Like I said, I'm more of a 35mm shooter, so I'm not in a real hurry to get this. I could use the Tamron on a gimbal at the moment, but this might be a lens that I may get to stick on a gimbal a little bit further down the track. But I do remember Max Urev saying that the video tracking was a little bit slower and he had to change the focus on the camera to responsive to get it to focus a little bit quicker. But he did say there was a little bit of an issue with tracking. So they're things that I'd have to have a look at before I started putting that on a gimbal. Because I know from using the Tamron on the gimbal, it's incredibly fast with the autofocus on the gimbal. So we'll go to the chat about that in a minute once we go to the chat. So last story before we do go to the chat is I wanted to just talk about the iPhone X. Now Thursday I've got a couple of shoots in the city. I'm going to be doing a dance shoot with a girl where I'm going to take some photos and also do video. And then I thought after I've done that, I'm taking Kiara in for the day as well, and I might try using the iPhone just to see how well the new iPhone works. Because I did pick the Max up the other day. I got my watch too. See, talking about geek overload. See, I'm not joking when I say I'm a geek. I was like a kid in a candy shop. Oh, I'm hopeless. I didn't tell Kerry till I got home. The funny thing was, you're going to love this. I went and bought the phone. Now, the phone obviously is on a plan, but I didn't tell Kerry I was buying the watch. And $1,000 later, I come home with a watch. Oh, my God. Poor Kerry. Oh, lucky she loves me so much. What was I talking about? Yeah, oh, yeah, and I'm going to try using it in the iPhone for probably a shoot, and I might see if I can even film it or something to show you guys how the actual iPhone looks. And it might be interesting to do a comparison between what the iPhone will do and, say, the Tamron lens, because the Tamron's a lower-ended lens money-wise. I might do a comparison between the two and see how it is. But anyway, let's have a look at this. So the camera, I haven't even used the camera yet. I've been geeking around playing with everything else, but I haven't been using the Tamron. But it looks like it's got some amazing features in there. Now, I believe that you're going to be able to change the focus, not the focus, but you're going to be able to change the depth of field after the shot has been taken at the moment. Now, it's funny because in the camera app, let me just open it because I haven't even looked at it. I believe in the camera app, I don't know, I'll have to check it. I should have checked that before I even came on. But I believe afterwards you can actually check it so you can change the aperture range in the actual thing. So you can go 1.4 to whatever it is in f/22 or whatever, and it actually says that. So it's like you're changing the camera aperture. But I believe in the latest iOS 12 update, 12.01, you're going to be able to change that as you take the photo. So it's actually like you're changing aperture in the camera. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that works. So you can change all these sort of things afterwards. But I noticed in there that it's saying in the specs that, let me just come down here, that the maximum shutter speed has now gone up to 22,000th of a second, and you can now go to 1 second maximum. So it means you're going to be able to do a second exposure. So if you're working in low light scenarios, you're going to be able to get nicer images here. So you should be able to do things like have your light trails and things like that. So I'm going to have to play around with this and sort of see how things go. The ISO has now gone from 24 ISO up to 2304 maximum ISO. It's 26 equivalent now at the wider end, so it's a little bit wider than before. And I believe the autofocus now is insanely fast, like it's meant to be incredibly quick. And it's also a 1.8 lens. So, like I said to you, I'm going to try it on Thursday and see how it goes. It also has got this smart HDR, which means it takes, I believe, 3 images. The old iPhone was a bit slow and clunky when it used to do this. This is meant to be almost instant when you do it, so you don't notice it at all. And then it's not meant to give you a real HDR look though. It's meant to be more like more like it's probably pulled up the shadows and locked down, so it doesn't give you a true HDR. But from the results I've seen, it does give you a nice balanced sky as against your, say, a portrait look of a model or whatever. It will balance everything out, so it is a sort of nicer overall exposure. And these are things that I've got to test a little bit later on. So I'll let you know how that goes, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this new camera goes. And like I said, I might try it and see how it goes and then show you guys in a video, because that might be something that we can, you might find really interesting as well. But I am geeking out at the moment. All right, so I'm going to open it up to questions. So let's see what all of you have to say, and we can fire away. So don't forget to put @DavidOsa if you do want to make sure that I don't miss anything. Let me come down. So let me take this question off and click there. Cheese says, I have a question. Will Panasonic full frame body size be large? Well, we don't know. It could be. There's no reason why it has to be any larger probably than what the GH5 is, because that's already a reasonable size body. So I don't think it has to be any larger than what that is. But we still have to wait and see. D. Brooks said, hey, wondering how long it'll take Sony to have a new product available for purchase after it's announced. It's usually around about 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes 4. So, you know, you could sort of say between 4 to 8 weeks. I would think that would be the timeline. Flyball said, I'm stoked for a good wide-angle prime for gimbal. 24-105 is handy, but adds a lot of weight. Yeah, that's why I like the Tamron so much on there. It's nice and light. Now, the Tamron's 550 grams, so that's heavier than what that 24 is. So that's going to be a great lens on a gimbal. The good thing with the Tamron, though, I haven't got the Tamron. Oh, yes, I have. The good thing with the Tamron, though, is it doesn't extend too much. But you do then have that range from 28 to 75. So it's working around that portrait lens that I actually like. You know, I like the 85, and 75 is not a bad portrait lens. So, you know, it's quite a good lens on a gimbal, I think. Camera love show, a live show. Entry $5, wink, I love it. What else are we? I'd love you to give me a thumbs up too, guys, if you could. It lets people know I'm online. I really would appreciate that. Trevor said, nice shirt. I know. How nice was it with Dave to send that? What would look better if it was Nikon yellow? Way cool shirt. I know, it's cool, isn't it? Thank you so much, Dave, for sending me this shirt. Flyball said, did you use a Tamron on the gimbal? No, I didn't. No, I discussed that. Epic Skies said, I want the 24mm 1.4, but would probably rather get the 105. Yeah, look, and this is the thing, all of us have to make a decision about which way we'd like to go and what we shoot with. If you're a portrait shooter, you would be better with the 105. I mean, I would definitely go for the 105 first if I was wondering about which lens to get and I was a portrait shooter. Definitely, that'd be the first thing I'd say. Yeah, and some were saying out of focus, but I don't know whether that's YouTube showing that, because it was fine on my screen there when I was showing some of those images. What else have we got? Raise your hand if you keep clicking the screen trying to zoom in. I did a headshot session with the Tamron 28 to 75 and not as accurate as the Sony 2470. That was still a cool. Wow, that's interesting, Mario. I found it's as sharp as. Actually, it can be a little bit over sharp. That's how sharp I found that lens to be. Particularly if you do it in studio, it is nuts how sharp that lens is in the center. It's not as sharp on the edges, but I don't worry about that. I've also showed Flyball I was using the Profoto B10. Epic Sky says, I'm not used to seeing natural light photos these days. I'm shooting more and more natural light though. Most of those ones that I was showing you were natural light. When we were going back to those, let me tell you, I'll tell you which ones. Let me go here. If you're looking at these ones, none of these were flash. That wasn't flash. That one had a flash in it because she had to be, because she was backlit. There was no flash on that one. No flash on that one. No flash on that one. That one had a flash. That one was no flash. That one there had a flash. These ones had flash. Now, the reason why too I did tend to use more flash on the day on these ones was because it was incredibly grey when they were starting to shoot later on. Early on, when it was bright, nice and bright here, I didn't use a flash there, and I just basically exposed. The shadows were lifted on this one. That was the only basic exposure I brought up. I can show you, because I'll pull the shadows down to show you where my exposure was. So the exposure was actually there. And then I've just pulled the shadow up to give a little bit of a kick in those areas. So in those scenarios, I don't tend to use flash at all. If there's natural light there, I generally will use the natural light, and I've gone more and more that way now. But when you're sort of talking about grey days, you need to fill in a little bit, because these would have been just too flat. And Kerry had to stand back a little bit here, and I don't like things that are over flashed, and I'll probably add contrast and saturation and everything on this when I edit these for the bride. Like I said, this is just sneak peek at the moment. But if I pull the shadows down, because that's all that's increased on this one, you can see here that's where the shot is. I wanted to make sure I didn't pull it out, so you can see I've brought the shadows up. That's really all the adjustments I've done there. But I will add probably saturation and a little bit of contrast and stuff later onto these. So, you know, like I said, there's no flash used on these. No flash was used on that one. But these were no flash. Yes, there was flash used on that because, again, it was so dull on the day. Here, that was the LED light that I used to light that up inside that dark reception hall that I showed you early on as well. So I am tending, like I said, to use often as much daylight now as I can, but obviously when I need flash, I will use it. So let's keep going down. Hall looks super dark. Yeah, it was. That's an incredibly challenging dark location. That's where it used to struggle a little bit when I had my A7R2 and the A7 IIs. Now with the A9 and the A7 III, I can get focus easily in those dark venues that I never could before. So it really has helped. I nearly always, though, in those scenarios, I will go center focus because I've found that often works best for me. Plus, there's people either side, and I use face detect. I use it on continuous autofocus because I find that the autofocus is much faster on continuous autofocus than single focus. And I do usually use center, and that sort of helps a camera from having to search everywhere to find it. But the focus now with the A9 and the A7 III in those dark venues is amazing. J Rose said, it's pretty dark. The ceiling height makes bouncing the light hard. Well, you can't bounce the light because it's pitch black. The ceiling, there's nothing to bounce off. So that's another issue. That's why this was the first time, and I said this to Kerry, this was the first time that I've been really comfortable in that scenario, shooting there, because I used a Profoto with the LED lighting. That's where LED lighting has a major benefit, because you see what you're getting. You're not having to bounce flash. Well, you can't really bounce the flash off the ceiling because it's pitch black. There's nothing to bounce back off. And you have to match the ambient. Remember, the wedding couple have hired that place because they love the ambient exposure. So if you don't match that ambient look, you're not giving them the real right look of their photos. So you've got to try and balance the ambient with your flash exposure. And I used to have to use gels. And because you can't bounce off the ceiling, you've got to then point the flash a little bit more forward or use a reflector card or something to bounce it off. And it's not that easy. It's a very challenging scenario to light up. So this time I just basically used the B1, or you could use an LED light if you had one, as long as it's color controllable, and then use that and shoot it like you're shooting continuous. Raise your ISO, lower your f-stop to as low as possible, and just fire away, and then you're matching the ambient exposure. So that's the way to tackle that type of dark scenario when you're dealing with the hall. Yes, I did. Someone said, what format do you use? I use JPEG on the fast card. Sorry, I use RAW on the fast card, JPEG on the second card as a backup in case if I have a card failure. What else have we got? Power to the geeks. I know, I am. I'm the biggest geek. I know, it's quite funny. Respectfully, Tony Northrup is the biggest geek. I don't know if he'd be a bigger geek than me, Flyball, honestly. He wouldn't be queuing up like I do, staying overnight for an iPhone, I can bet you. I'm that much of a geek, I don't sleep the night before I get something because I'm excited. Kerry goes, you're buying something, aren't you? Because she can tell because I don't sleep. Yeah. Keep it up. Love arguing about technology. It is fun. Love your chats. Thanks so much. Yuri said, XT3 really only pushes A6500 in colour science. Well, I don't think that's true, Rui. Look, it has 4K 60p. That beats the A6500 already. You can't say that camera is more advanced than what the A6500 is. And I have to give it to Fuji. It's definitely more camera, but I have been hearing issues about it locking up though. So there's a number of people talking about that on the net now, I've noticed. Hopefully they can fix that with a firmware update. Kevin said, preach on David, amen, it's your channel, so talk about what you want, thanks. Arthur said, XT3 is a beast and I shoot Sony. It is. And that's the thing, I will never say another camera's bad if it's not. I love Sony, but the XT3 is an amazing camera, and it is an amazing camera. I'm not going to bag a camera just because I haven't got it. I'm going to say it's good. And the XT3 does seem to be a great camera. It's definitely better than what Sony have at this stage in the APS-C line. Trevor said, well, I suppose Panasonic was going to do this. They needed a full-frame mount, and no way Canon and Nikon licenses their mount, so Leica, it's a logical choice. See, the interesting thing, though, is that the Panasonic probably aren't going to hold anything back like Canon and Nikon have. So this could be a killer camera. We have to wait and see, but I don't think that Panasonic are going to hold back. But let's wait and see the announcement. I might do a live when it's announced, or I'll at least come on and talk about it. 25 to 10 said, the EF to L-mount adapter is what's going to make this possible for the masses. S-glass is insanely expensive. Yes, it is. It's great glass, though, but yes, you're right. Trev said, the A7R2 brilliant in low light in S35. Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not as good as what the A7 III is, or the A9 is, that's for sure. Flyball Aerial said, I find it interesting that they are willing to form a super team to achieve their goal. I know that is interesting. Nice shirt, bro. I know. How cool is it? Thanks, Dave. J-Rose said, I'm curious which one of the Panasonic cameras is better for video. I noticed that the lower megapixel cameras like the A7 III and the Nikon Z6, or whatever you'd like to say, are better for video. I know, and I don't know how Panasonic are going to get around that with the higher megapixel sensors. It's going to be interesting to see how that works. What else have we got? Fathom Rocker said, I pre-ordered 2 minutes in, but I may cancel a pre-order, still thinking about it. Is that for the 24 one, Fathom Rocker? J-Rose said, I think I might get the 24 GM, but usually wait before buying lenses. I like to see the price go down for a bit first. Havel said, I have the 2470 f4, so I might get the 24 GM. Havel, if you've got the 2470 f4, I would sell that and buy the Tamron straight away. Or, yeah, like you say, you could get the 24, but you may need the 70. Chasing Creation said, yes, I noticed the colour change too. Lens differences were shocking. Yeah, that worried me a little bit. It really did. I mean, I'm interested to wait and see. I'm not saying these YouTubers lie. I'm just interested to see when the real reviews come out, when it's with real shooters out there. And to see what actually happens. But I don't think for 1 second Max would not tell the truth, because Max always does tell the truth. He seemed to say in his video that he may have been the his correction that he did on the video, but it definitely worried me when I had a look at Max's video. Have a look at the start of Max's video and check the difference between the Tamron at the beginning and then when it switches to the 24. The Tamron crushes it. Now, if it is the lighting conditions, I don't know. I don't think that the sun coming out or whatever should make his skin go green like it did and things like that, and the colours change so drastically. But anyway, like I said, it still will be a lens that I'm certainly interested in getting for on a gimbal, and if I'm further back. It's not going to be a lens I'd want to use for a portrait lens though, because you could see that distortion in his face. What else? Fathom Rocker said, I pre-ordered it because I'm thinking about selling my 24/7 GM. Okay, and switch all to primes. Okay. Flyball Aerial said, good catch about the greenish colours. Now I need to watch the video. Yeah, rewatch it. Not now though, because you're talking to me. But yeah, rewatch the start of it. Hervel said, visual perception, it's a good choice, especially if you're into astrophotography. I already have the Batis 25, so not sure if I will upgrade. You'll have to wait for the reviews to see how it compares to the Batis. Yeah, it's a hard one until you sort of see how it actually is. Dwayne says, can you give your opinion on the 24GM versus the 25 Batis? Well, I can't yet, Dwayne, because I haven't got either of those lenses. So you're going to have to wait till someone has that both of those lenses, and I'm sure that review will come out. Michael said, hi David, hope all is well. I ordered the 24GM for its size and IQ. Also, I was thinking I could get around the 35 in Super 35 mode on the A7, A9, using it for nighttime landscape photography. Interesting. Michael's just saying hi. Hi, Michael. Hervel said, iPhone X is the mirrorless killer. I don't think so. Casper said, Sony. Fibel said, it can't make lights appear. I'm not sure what that means. Oops. Where were we? Kevin said, got the Note A9 and love it. Three Trees Photographer said, David is my hero. He's got bad gas. Check out the watch. Woohoo! What else have we got? iPhone camera rubbish. Well, I'll tell you, Carl, when I use it on the weekend. Let's see. On Thursday, I mean. The camera doesn't make the photo, and that's true, Trev. I agree with you completely. Flyball said, it's putting in gimmicky features that make people full frame past the basics of using a camera. Yeah, but I think technology is just going to be like that. But remember, you've still got to have the vision when you look inside it to take that image. No matter what happens, it's still an artist that's taking that image. Wilson said, I think Apple should make some real cameras. There was rumours a while ago that Apple were going to make a camera, but it never came out. Terry said, I was going to wait for the Sony a7R III, but should I buy the A7S? No, I wouldn't buy the A7S. No way. No way. Wait for the new announcement, or if you're in a hurry to buy one, get the A7 III if you want video. I wouldn't be buying the A7S. It's no way would I buy an A7S. I wouldn't even buy an A7S II. I'd just buy the A7 III. A7 III is still at the moment a fantastic video camera. Carl said an Apple camera would be an overpriced. Well, it would be overpriced, and you're definitely right there. Ashbury said, still waiting for my 85. What's that, the Sony 85 1.8 or... Terry said, I want Apple HDR on my actual camera. I know, it'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Marcus said, GoPro 7, what's your thoughts? You know, Marcus, I haven't even looked at that yet. And that's funny for me, because I usually do. I didn't notice, obviously, that it was announced, but I haven't geeked out. I'm probably daren't look, because it'll be another thing I'm going to have to tell Kerry about. So I haven't looked at it yet, so I can't comment on that. Camera, let's do it live. Let's go and have a look. I shouldn't be doing this. Let me go GoPro. GoPro Hero 7. Let me see. What's it got? Well, it's saying in here that it's what they're saying. So this is Gizmodo. Let me just check the... Oh, nice screen at the back though. Let me just move this over so we can all see it together. So the top end of the line is $400 US, $550 Australian, they're saying. What's it got? It's got 4K 60 frames per second, 2K at 120 frames per second, high def 180 at 240 frames per second. It's waterproof to depth of 10 meters, can stream live footage. It offers GPS location tracking. Let me see what they say at the bottom about it. The new GoPro Hero 7 line is obviously an attempt to the company to streamline its product offerings along with today's announcements. GoPro's biggest problem is that its new hardware has always been incremental upgrades to existing cameras, given little reason for a customer base to immediately upgrade. So it's got better stabilization according to this, which is really good. Certainly enticing, because I remember that mine lacked that. I think I've got the 4, the GoPro Hero 4 Black, or is it the GoPro Hero 5? I can't remember. And that hasn't got stabilization. So that's a good point that it's got stabilization in it there. But they're saying there's no real compelling... Oh, no, I've got the Hero 5. They're saying there's no reason to go up from the Hero 6, so it probably would be a big difference from mine. The thing that I'd probably like to upgrade to is to have the touch screen at the back would be really good. I haven't got that. And the stabilization. That's why I thought I might go for the Sony version of it. But I don't really use it that much, really. So I don't know if I can justify getting one. It's not something that I really use that. Well, I've had the GoPro Hero 5 in the back there, and I don't think I've got it out in 12 months. So let me know if anyone else is interested in that. Does it interest you guys? Or Blaze Kim said, fuck, all of those photos were taken on an iPhone X. They were amazing, weren't they? How long do the batteries last in the Profoto? Well, I believe it's 70 minutes if it's on full power. I ordered another battery, but I didn't use... I only used the one battery for the whole wedding, which was weird. And I still had... I can tell you, because I'll grab it and tell you how much power I've got left. Because I didn't charge it. I didn't charge it on the day. And it's still full. Now, it's actually incredible, really. Like, I think it's the typical thing of how they always say the batteries will only last so long, and then they end up lasting heaps more. But from what I've been told, I use the LCD quite a bit. From what I've been told, at full power, it lasts for 70 minutes. And you get around about 400 shots if you're doing 1-to-1. But I shot all day with it, and the battery hasn't even moved. But you can charge. It comes with a battery charger that you can charge all day. So you could, if you're using the continuous light, plug it into 12-volt power, and it'll run all day. So that's one good thing. But yeah, it says 70 minutes, but 70 minutes full power is a long time. Well, Hey Chahasi says, insane to say that the Nikon Z series isn't pushing Sony. Well, I don't believe it is, mate. Not pushing Sony enough to release a new camera, because it's not better than what Sony already have. That's the problem. For Sony to be pushed, it has to be better than what Sony are offering. And none of those cameras, the Nikon and Canon cameras, aren't better than what Sony are offering in their A7 III. So I don't believe they are pushing it. Oh, Mario said the firmware has already been issued for the Fuji. And has that fixed that locking up, Mario? Can you let us know? Can you, hi from Nepal, can you suggest me the best E-mount lens for the A6 300 for videos? The 18 to 105 I think is the best overall lens if you're just talking about video. That definitely. Terry, oh, I hate that when it jumps like that. Why does it do that? Kerry said, I was going to wait for the A7R III, but should I? No, we've been through there. I've already chosen that. Why did you choose the 85 Batis over the 85 GM, Dwayne? Well, the reason why that happened particularly was because at the time there was no 85 GM. I've had the Batis. That was the only 85 native lens that Sony had at the time I bought the Batis. And that's the reason why. But remember, I sold all of my Nikon gear to come to Sony due to the weight of lenses. Now, because of that reason, I wouldn't be buying the GM. The GM clearly is obviously a better lens, but I would be buying the 85 1.8 if I was buying a new 85 now. And that's just the way it is with me. So if I didn't have the Batis 85, I would buy the Sony 85 1.8. I don't need the weight of the Batis 85, and that's just a personal thing. I'm not saying it's not a brilliant lens. I'm just saying it's not for me. That's why I think they've probably done a fantastic job with the 24mm. With the weight of that lens, Sony have done an amazing job with that 24GM. That's why when I was saying to Gerald that I probably wouldn't buy it, I now think when I saw the weight of that lens, I've changed my mind a little bit, and I may potentially get that down the line. Dan said, why am I not getting reminders for you lately? I don't know, Dan. It's something YouTube's doing. I've got no idea why you don't get those reminders anymore. It's just crazy. I've got no idea. It's often better to, if you're in the photography and videography school, it's better to be in there. I didn't today, actually. I forgot because I came on so quickly. Normally, I'll put a reminder in that photography videography school on Facebook. So if you add me in there, if you go to that site there, I usually do put that I'm on live, and then you might get the notification through there. That can be the easiest way. Excuse me, I'm getting a Coke burp. So J Rose said, I think if you really don't want to miss anything, there's a little bell, yeah. But some are hitting the bell and still not getting notifications, J Rose, which is annoying. YouTube shouldn't do that. Modernwise, what chair are you sitting on? It's quite a challenge to find a comfortable chair. Well, I don't know where I got it from, but it's amazing. I do love it. It's fan. Let me switch to the other thing. It is fantastic. It's an incredible chair. Like the arms move up and down, they'll move in and out. It has adjustments everywhere. I don't know where I got it from. I can't remember. I just searched online and found it, and I love the look of it. But yeah, it is. It's just a beautiful chair, and it's so comfortable. But to be honest, Modern Wiz, I usually don't sit in it. I've got this movable bench which I can just go up and down, and I use that. So I stand when I'm doing most of my editing. Tox said the Max video you're talking about has been processed, so it could be editor's error. Could have applied more saturation to the Tamron shot. It's not just that though, Tox Vision, it's the cast. I'm pretty good at editing videos now, and that had a particularly green cast that was in that lens. And now, I'm not saying you can't correct for it, you probably can, but watch the video, watch the start of Max's video, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. And you'll understand how good the Tamron is. Oh, beauty ring shot, thank you. GoPro 7 has stabilization. Yeah, I just mentioned that when I was looking at that. My Tamron 2875 Canon is very good. Yeah, I've been so happy with it. Michael said, don't do it, Dave. Don't look. Don't look. I love it. What's up, Dave? Hi, Chris. How are you? Comment basically an improved GoPro. They got him. Oh, where we go back? I'm laughing. They've got him. He's going to now know where he comes with a new GoPro line. Oh, my. I've spent so much money lately. Poor Kerry. Mav said Apple already released a camera. Oh, that's right. They did, didn't they, in 1994? I remember that. Would love a Hero 7 Black. I used my Hero 7 IV for a camping trip. Wish I had the M50 at the time. Hi, David from Nepal. Can you suggest the best E-mount for the A6? Well, I did. It's the 18-105 lens. F4, constant F4. Do you think the A7000 will have an articulating screen? I hope so. I really do, Yuri. I'm not convinced, though, but I do really hope it has. Listen to me burping. It's because I'm drinking this Coke. 25 to 10, okay, I guess the battery never dies. Now I have to explain to my wife why I need this flat. It is amazing. I said to Kerry on Saturday, when we did the wedding, you know, Kerry was typical. Why do you need another flash? And after the wedding, she said, David, I actually can see what you mean now, because I could fit this in my camera bag. It's like a lens. It's not much bigger than an actual lens. And the great thing was, I normally have to take 2 bags, because I take the separate bag I have the Profoto flashes in it, because the B1s that I use are too big. And this fitted in my bag as an actual lens. And I took 1 camera bag with the lenses that I carry, my 3 cameras. But it's bloody fantastic. And so I took this and in the camera bag, and I can pull it out. And like I said, I can just basically straight away have this turned on. And then, like I said to you, I can be using flash, like far away. If I wanted to, you can see there where it's flashing. But then I can instantly just turn this on and it becomes the LED light. And then if I click here, that's on its lowest power. That's full power. That's lowest power, full power. And then if I hold it in, I've got to work out how to do it. If I hold it in, I think it changes the color, color temperature. I can then do it through my iPhone. I'm going to show you because I'm going to geek you out. But basically, and I was doing this in the wedding, Kerry was standing across the... Let me just see if I can launch this. Kerry was standing across... There we go, I'm connected. Kerry was standing across, sort of away from the bride and groom and the speeches, and then I could turn the flash on and off from my watch, so from the iPhone. No doubt they'll make an Apple Watch app for this eventually, I suppose. But I could turn it on and off from here. So I was standing away. When the speeches stopped, I'd turn the light off. And then when they came back in, I would turn it back on. And then to balance to that really dark environment, all I did was I lowered the actual... Let me see if I can grab it. I lowered the actual colour down, the actual intensity, I mean. And then I went onto the temperature. Ooh, it's hard to do because I'm not looking at the phone. And then I can change the colour as well. You can see there it's a blue light and it goes down to a very warm light through there. So I just matched it off, and you know, and then I could keep switching it on and off. So to have that ability, and then if I wanted to change the flash power, I can just obviously move the flash power as well through here. So to have that ability to do that from the one flash, there's nothing out there like that. I know other flashes have the same as, you know, like the same flash side of it, but to have that ability to have the flash and the continuous light, and the important thing there is color control, and this is a non-strobing light, so this is a good video light. It's not a, you won't have a refresh problem where a lot of the LCD lights, it'll flicker. This is a non-flicking video light, so it's perfect for doing video light. And to have that control, and that battery literally lasted me the whole day. And like I said to you, it's still, I think I lost, oh, there you go. So it's come up now. And I did actually, oh, it's connecting to my phone, I think. It was just saying Bluetooth. That's what it used for the whole day. I used 1 bar for the whole wedding. It's nuts. And like I said, I bought a second battery. So, you know, it really was great. Yes, I know they're expensive. I'm now going to get that thing if I could buy 5 Godoxes for the same price. I know that, but yeah. What else have we got? Charge my GoPro 4 with a USB power brick. Sony 10 to 18 is probably a good choice. Yeah, I've got that lens. Where is that lens? That lens is here. So that's a great lens too if you want to use a... How long have we been on, by the way? 1 hour and 18 minutes. I've done it again, haven't I? That's the 10 to 18. I love it. I even use this on the full frame on the weekend to capture a wide angle shot. Oh, I'll show you that. Let me see if I can show you that image. I'll just see if I can show it to you. Filters off. Because I wanted to get a really wide look. Oh, it's not there. It's at the end. Where are we? Now, I couldn't get back far enough from the actual crowd, So I've used the 10-18 here on my full frame camera. So this was on the A7R III, and it's the 10-18mm on it. So obviously it becomes I think it's a 12 megapixel file size, but that's ample. No, I use this on the A7R III. That's right. I used it on that, so it gives me an 18 megapixel file size. And I had to use that lens because I needed something wide enough to get back far enough. So this is on 10 mil. So I use that lens all the time, even on full frame. Yes, there's a little bit of distortion on the edges, which you're obviously going to get, but you know, it's good enough. Like it's an underrated lens. It really is, and I love it. And if you can use that on your A6500, and it works fantastic. Let me just quit that back. So that's a lens that you can get for your. That's a lens that you can get for the A6500 or the A6300. Where's the thing listed? Let me just see if I can get it to come up. It's an f4 constant lens, lovely and tiny, great on a gimbal, and you can also use it on full frame. If you want to use it on full frame, you can use it on 12-16. If you want to go to Super 35, obviously then you can get the 10-18. Great lens. Mario said, Fuji, yes, already laugh out loud as electronics go. Time will tell, okay. He's talking about that update. Ooh, where did we go? Dan said, it's been a long time between drinks for me. I have the A6000. I'm ready to pop. Finally, I'm maybe an A7000. Yeah, hopefully you don't have to wait too long, Dan. Do you think they will make Sigma zooms with an E-mount? Well, they already... Oh, okay, yeah, for the zooms. Well, yes. I'm sure the 70-200 will be announced shortly. I think it's just a matter of time before that's out. Wilson said, yes, love the chair. Give us a link. I don't know where I got it from. I'll have to see if I can find it again. I've got no idea. I have to ask Kerry if she can find the receipt. Should we wait for this Ewan Crane 3? A63? Well, it depends. I love the Moser Aircross. That works fantastic with that. So that's what I'm using. If you want to go crane, it might be worth waiting. But I don't think you're going to need a crane that's that strong. Not for an A6300 anyway. You can buy one of the lighter weight gimbals. Just buy your normal crane, or the Crane M will do an A6300. Trying hard to shoot noise-free video with the A7 III. Tried Sign, Movie, HLG1, but no luck in low-light conditions with the 28F2. I haven't got that lens, so I can't comment on that. I haven't had any issues with noise at all, but I've been using the Sony 55 1.8 and 35 1.4. I'm upset they invite your little brother Gordon Lang and never you to the events. That's because they wouldn't pay for me to go to the US. Terry, what do you think of the GoPro 6 for vlogging? Don't know because I haven't got one. I would prefer to use my Sony camera, which I've got actually in the bag out there. The RX100 probably. Hubble says, do you think Sony will come out with a higher resolution A9? I don't know if it'll be higher resolution, but they might bring out an A9R or something like that. There'll be an A9 too, and that may have higher megapixels, probably late next year, probably at the earliest, I think. That light created a 3D effect. David has sold out to Sony fully now with that t-shirt. Oh no, how good is this shirt David sent me? I love it. Type A personality. Oh, I love it. I've got to wear it to go out somewhere just to piss people off. Oh. Seen a few people doing reviews on the light after you unboxed it, leading the curve, David. Thanks for that. Terry Breedlove said, I've used the GoPro for vlogging. It's a real pain due to the audio adapter. Yeah, that's one of the things. Her said, David, I have an Olympus EM1. Should I upgrade to the new Canon or just wait for something else that may be out soon? Do you mean the Canon mirrorless, or it's hard to say. I mean, Olympus also make really nice cameras. It depends. Obviously, you want to go full frame. Is that what you're after? If you want to go full frame, I would truly say go A7 III. But that's what I would suggest you to go with. You save money and you're getting a better camera. That was not a little distortion. That was awful. Yeah, I had no choice though. The problem was when you're dealing with this camera, I couldn't go any further back because there was a massive tree and a house right behind me there. And it was all we could do. I had 2 seconds where I had to get the group shot. So it was either I had to get the group shot or get nothing. So I couldn't use the 16 to 35. I tried to put that on first and it wasn't wide enough. Sometimes you just have to get the shot. And this was a scenario where I had to get the shot. We couldn't move any further back. So I just had to take it as it is. And yes, there is distortion in it, but there's nothing I could do. That's why I always make sure the bride and everyone that's important is sitting in the middle. Boop, 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 boop. Cool strobe with connect to the phone. I know the Bluetooth connection's amazing how it works on that phone. I love how he said it was awful distortion though. Well, it's not. I mean, the distortion's there. That's why I said it's distorted. Thanks a lot for your precious comments and suggestions. I'm a graphic designer. If you ever need any help with designs, let me know. Thank you so much. Excited about the new Panasonic L camera. Comment Culture said, can you give any advice about doing gear reviews? What do you consider before writing a script? Or what bugs you most about other reviews? Well, the thing for me, Comment Culture, it's hard to say. Look, the way that I work particularly is, remember, I came from a lecturing background. I'm actually a fully qualified lecturer, teacher. I have a degree in teaching. So for me, it's easy to talk and I can just look at something and then blab on. As you'll know now, we've been going for 1 hour and 26. I can just blab on and carry on like crazy and just look at something and then just talk about it. If you're not like me where you can just do that, and I can do that from experience of just talking to people and lecturing for 20, 30 years, you may have to write out a script and do things like that a lot of YouTubers will actually do. I'm sort of more laid back in the way that I think, and I just talk like I've said to you. For me, it's more important for me to talk to you like I'm actually talking to a group of mates sitting around a table. So I like mine to be very laid back and off the cuff. If you can't do that, you'd have to write a script and do it more formal. Like I know if you look at Jared Poland's scripts, you can see his eyes moving because he's reading off a teleprompter. I couldn't work that way. I just like to talk like I'm naturally talking to a group of friends. So depending on how you are, you may have to use a script. It really is up to you with what you're comfortable with doing, I suppose. What bugs me about most reviewers particularly is that, like I said, I don't like real scripted reviews. I don't like that aspect of it. I prefer a more natural, easygoing type view, and that's often what, well, us Aussies are more famous for, is being very laid back and easygoing, and it's probably the way we are. We can also upset people sometimes because we're very honest and I can't really explain it, but Australians tend to be very blunt if we don't like something, and we would just say it without thinking about we might offend people. And that's one side too that we can often get pulled up on when we're talking to people from overseas, because we do have that very blunt sort of sense of humour. But it's also, we're very easygoing, and, you know, like we'll all bag everyone. We bag mates, we'll bag everyone, and we love that aspect of things. Yeah. Yes, full frame I want to go with. Yeah, well, I'll get the A7 III if you want to go full frame, definitely. Terry said, David, could you recommend a good book on photography? Terry, I don't read books. I know that's a terrible thing to say. I just go online, and that's just what I do. I just don't read any books. So sorry I can't help you in that respect, but you might be able to, someone in here or even in the comments down below may be able to recommend a good book for you. I've just been doing it for so long now that I just don't do that anymore. Yeah, sorry, I just can't recommend something there. Modern Wise said, I sold the 18-10 due to focus resets every time I turn the camera off for video. Okay. I love the Olympus, but feel, where are we? Where was that one? We'll have to finish soon because I've been just going on here way too long. I'm not sure where that was. Oh, yeah. I love the Olympus. I've already done that one. There was a little distortion. That was awful. We've read that one before. Oh, I've come way down too far, haven't I? Dan said, we need an Australian ambassador for all the camera and lens releases, and you would be perfect for the job. Especially now I've got the T-shirt. Look, here I am with the T-shirt. Sony need to sponsor me down under. Come on, Sony, what are you doing? We need some Sony ambassadors down under. Email a picture of that T-shirt to the angry photographer. Oh, honestly, he was going on again about Sony the other day. God, honestly, the things that he says is just ridiculous. He really just has... Look, I don't believe 1 second that he has that hate for Sony. It's an agenda he has that gets him views. That's the only reason why he does it. And you can tell because the stuff he says is crap. It is complete bullshit. And that's the thing, like when I watch it, I can always tell he's trying to get people to make hits and get his stuff out there. That's right. The last thing he showed was this woman that was complaining about a stuck shutter on her camera. And I'm not convinced that that wasn't even a set-up story because I saw that story mentioned in Jason's Facebook page, and she kept going on about that story over and over again, and she was saying that she was a professional wedding photographer. Now she might be, I don't know. Now that could be the case, but I would think if you're a professional wedding photographer that you should be researching and getting Sony Pro support. Now she was whinging about having to pay $100 to get Sony Pro support, but you've got to pay $100 to get Canon Pro support. I don't pay for my Nikon Pro support, but you do for Canon. You have to pay the $100. Having to pay $100 if you're a professional to get the service that Sony gives you, honestly, you shouldn't be whinging. Now, he picked up on that immediately and went carrying on, and it's just for hits. I just laugh at half of the stuff. I like him. I think he's actually quite funny. But I do believe, I don't think he has a real agenda against Sony at all. I think he just does it because he likes to get people going on and getting the hits on his YouTube channel. Wilson said, do you know the Rotolight AEOS 2 LED light is the same as the ASB10? I think Profoto just re-engineered the AEOS. Yeah, but remember, it can't be the same because the Rotolight is an LED flash. This isn't an LED flash. This is a normal flash. So this is going to have way more power than what an AEOS 2 would have if you're dealing from the flash aspect of it. So yeah, they're completely different lights. The AEOS is complete LED. The Profoto is a flash plus an LED. Oops. Can you send me a T-shirt or design some for followers? Comic Culture said, yeah, I appreciate how you work and know what you mean. Thanks for the advice, bud. Kind of like what you want to see, what your buddy would say about gear. Yeah, that's exactly right. Hey, David, I really want to thank you for being so engaging and informative with us. You're a great teacher and buddy. Oh, thanks so much, Michael. Just before we finish, I'll read these last few questions. Tony Northrup always says sells his books, but Brian Smith makes some amazing books as well. There is no good for photography, just have to practice and learn from mistakes. Practice is definitely the best thing you can do, that's for sure. G'day Torben, says Jack Poland has an eye condition. Oh, is that why he does it, Torben? Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I thought he was reading from an autocorrect. I'm sure I've heard him talk about before that he reads from a script. He's got the notes in his hands. He's not reading. Okay, thanks for sharing that. I didn't know that. I always thought he was reading from a script because I thought that's what his eye was reading. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Almost any book will teach you how to use a camera. Shooting tens of thousands of photos will teach you how to take a good photo. Comic Culture says, apologise for the typing skills. No worries. Any last questions before we go, guys? Otherwise, I'm logging off. We've been going for 1 hour, 34 minutes. I'm going to get some comments about talking about how long these go again. I know that's going to happen, which I always laugh at because, like I said, I'll go as long as I want to go, and you guys obviously are there, so it's still interesting for you guys. It always makes me laugh when people comment like that. You don't have to watch something. If you don't like what I do, don't watch. Ken Wheeler says it's all about trolling. Yeah, AMR, they're the same. Exactly, they are. And that's what these guys do. You can always tell. Like I said, I didn't like the Nikon and the Canon releases, and I've admitted that. But if there's something good out there, like the Nikon D850, incredible camera for stills. It's probably the best digital, well, it would be the best digital SLR camera out there. The Fuji have just done an amazing camera, and I've said that. I've always said all along how good the GH5 is, but I didn't like the autofocus. I'm not going to bag cameras just for the sake of bagging cameras. It's not the way I am, and I never will. A lot of these other people like Ken and Amar will do that, and that's where you can tell, I think, the real people that have reviews at heart as against ones that are just, sort of going for bait and views. So it's just an interesting thing that, people do. All right, guys, that's all for now. I'm going to pop off. I'm going to go and chill and do something else. I'll see you all again for the next video. Catch you all for now. And I'll just say this, Type A personality, thank you so much, Delta Dave, for this t-shirt. Sent me this from the US. Really appreciate it. Wait, I don't have to watch this. Oh, no, you don't. All right, guys, catch you all soon. Bye for now.